YouTube. What's up, guys? We're actually starting on time. How you guys doing? Hope your day's going well. Johnny, hello.
Hey. How's it going?
Not too bad. Hang on, let me see if I can fix your video here. 1 second. Oh, your video is fine. It's just because there's two of us that throws off the
Oh,
overlay.
gotcha. That's good.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I think everything's good on my end. I mean, everything. I don't know. Our topics are probably easier because of how terrible the game was. So
Yeah.
it's an NFL day. So
Yes, it is.
which is fine. It should be. We're going into the playoffs. It's good.
Yeah, agreed. I need to fix this camera real quick.
Oh, Aaron, that's a good jail.
Mm-hmm.
Are we streaming on YouTube yet?
We are. Yep.
Okay, cool.
They're watching me fail at placing my video in the right spot. It's really good entertainment right now. Anyways, yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. If you're here on YouTube, let us know. Say hi. We want to get your thoughts too. We mentioned we're going to be talking a lot of NFL playoffs. That is true. Several of you have kind of given your Super Bowl predictions on Instagram, so looking forward to kind of reading through those more and see who at the end of this comes out with the right answer. I'm not sure there's a prize for the winner, but just a pat on the back and self-assurance that you're a wise individual, I guess.
You'll have receipts. Also, let us know how you did in your fantasy football leagues this year. Any punishments? Any good punishments out there? I'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
Aaron, that needs to be put in place next year.
I agree. I think someone needs to take the ACT.
No, that's where I'd pay. I'd pay to get out of that. I would pay a lot of money instead of that. That sounds awful.
It's a pretty good one.
Give me the Waffle House thing instead. I would rather do the street corner thing where I wear like a onesie and a sign that says I'm an idiot and lost my fantasy football league. Like I'd rather do that than take an ACT test.
I think to do it really well, you would have to come up with a lot of different punishments. Like every person in the league comes up with a punishment. At the end, you just spin the wheel.
Ooh.
Because some things are worse for some people.
That. That's true.
So I think you should
Some
be
people would hate standing on that corner more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
I would not like that one at all.
Oh, I would do that. I could do that.
I'd literally
for
rather
4
take
hours.
the ACT.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would rather stand on that corner for 4 hours.
Oh, interesting.
For the entire length of an ACT test.
I will say part of it is I want to see if I've become dumber. Like, because I know what my ACT was like senior year of high school.
I'm sure I'm dumber. I'm sure.
Which in theory I shouldn't be because I have now a college degree and a master's degree. So in theory I should be smarter, but I know I'm not.
Aaron, they'd put the algebra in front of me and I'd panic.
It's the science for me, man.
Honestly, the English part, I'd probably be just fine. I'd probably be fine in the writing and English, and that would be fine. Then I'd get to the math and just fall apart.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone other than our engineers out there would probably be much different, though. So.
Mm-hmm. You're putting Kirby Smart straight to jail?
Jail. You'll find out why. I won't spoil
I know why.
It. Jail.
I know why. Dang it, I keep keep moving this camera. I really need to. Dang it. Oh, well. And it just is what it is. I'll fix it later. Realize I need to my desk is just a mess. And then I popped up here with a camera and I'm like, ugh. Yikes.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, I won't talk about that over YouTube. YouTube, sorry, you'll miss out on that conversation. I verbalize everything that I'm thinking, so sometimes I have to remind myself that lots of people are listening, and I shouldn't say everything to everyone.
Yeah. By the way, I guess I'll take a real quick second to congratulate some of our winners of the Bowl Challenge, because that wrapped up officially last night. Congrats to me for first place. You're welcome, everybody.
Nice work, Aaron.
Tied for first was Logan, so congrats to Logan. And then there was a couple people tied for third, so we'll be reaching out to you shortly for your prizes. So congrats to you guys.
I think, are the Cavs and Jazz actually on national television today?
They might be.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, you know what I was gonna do?
The Cavs game for
Hang
once.
Is FanDuel available online? Can you?
I would assume so, but they'll want to know the name of your firstborn child to log in.
Let's see. Here's what I'm thinking, chat. I think Kent State at 3.5 when I saw them against Toledo at home.
Aaron, that's my type of pick. That is my type of
really
pick. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
yes, chat. I gambled this week Fordham to cover 3.5 at home against St. Joe's, and I got it. So,
you absolute heathens.
Josh, welcome in.
Hello. Sorry, I'm late.
Perfect timing, Josh. Perfect timing.
Currently degenerates over here. I don't know if we're allowed to gamble on YouTube, but we're doing it anyway. We're not gambling right now.
Well, we're not.
You're not
I
gambling.
certainly don't have a different browser pull.
We're not gambling. We are talking about if we happen to.
You're talking about the reality
an
that
item of value.
Ohio has now legalized it, and what possible bets one would make if they were you yesterday.
Right. Anyways, Josh, did you have a second to look at your audio settings at all from last week?
I did. Everything switched. Must have been midstream or mid-recording.
Oh, weird.
To play. Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep my eye on it this time.
No, you're good.
Because I definitely wouldn't have done that. So
yeah,
it's
I
all
that's all
on the good audio this time. Yeah.
No, not a big
deal.
All right.
Whew.
I think the Cavs are on national television, to answer the question.
Yes, I can actually watch them. Yeah,
I'm trying to place a free bet. I'm not that much of a degenerate, just for the record.
That's actually getting added to jail
7?
too.
When does this happen?
Bally Sports. You get to jail, sir. Or ma'am. I don't
before
know
we
company.
Oh, it's at 7.
Johnny, just to make sure, Johnny, that we're not overlapping, what is your beef with Kirby Smart?
We'll just have to find out. We'll just have to find out, Josh.
Mine might be the same, so I want to make sure that we're not overlapping.
I'll text you then. Let me text you.
Perfect. Because I have a few, but I have one that really irks me. But if it also really irks you, I know you're going to be funnier at it.
It's probably the exact same thing. If you follow me on Twitter, you have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to talk about.
That's what I'm thinking. So I have a backup.
And we also don't always have to do straight to jail. Only if you have one. I just happen to have one. So
I have some straight to jails.
Okay. So I figured. All right. Let me start my recording, and then I think.
Yeah, Chess says it's in limbo because all the litigation is just still in
litigation.
Yeah. So I'm just. Yeah. Okay. That was going to be mine, Johnny. So I will let you handle that one, and I have another Georgia one.
Cool.
So we're good.
All right. I can get us started if you guys are all good.
Oh yeah. Let me hit record.
Yeah. Did all the show notes make sense? I know there's a lot of information, but.
Totally good. Ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. Welcome to the 5th and Goal podcast. My name is Aaron. I am joined, as always, by my good friends Josh and Johnny. Guys, it's good to be back with you, episode 94. Josh, what's up, man? Welcome back to Texas. How has your week been?
Texas has been great. You know what? Maybe Texas hasn't been great. I'm wearing shorts right now. It's 81 outside.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know.
Good Lord.
I walked back from the office because I commute by walking because I'm a hippie now. And I was sweating on the way back, and I'm like, what is this? It is January 10th.
Wow. Yeah.
What are we doing? I'm warm. And I get it. Like, I chose this by moving south, but my sinuses are not going to like me tomorrow. But otherwise, I'm doing great. Beautiful sunset right now. I'm sweating. I turned the AC on. We're having a great time.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, glad to hear you're doing well. Jonny, welcome back. How was your week?
Good week. Last night was disappointing, but still a good week. The weather's milder up here in Ohio, Josh, but I'm not complaining. I'd like some snow, but we're all good here. We're all good. Everybody's getting their New Year's resolutions going right now. One thing I'll just say, be nice to everybody you run into in the gym. I know it's hard for those of you who are there all the time, but they're trying and they deserve credit for that. So let's all be nice to one another and encourage and allow somebody else to use the equipment while you're at the gym. Just your public service announcement from Jonny this week. Like, be nice to everyone at the gym. Well, if you're mean on a regular basis, Josh, that's fine. Just don't go.
don't me. I just operate as just like a nasty person.
Yeah. If you're just mean 24/7, 12 months, 365 days a year at the gym, and you're just mean every day, that's fine. But don't be mean just in January.
That's okay.
Because new people are trying to get fit. That's dumb. Don't do that.
So you're saying have the New Year's resolution to be mean every day. If this is just something you're going to pick up, make it a habit, or just don't even bother.
Consistency. It's like what we ask from officials in games all the time. Be terrible, but be terrible for both teams.
Right.
Be terrible for both teams. Amen.
Wow. That's a good reminder, Jonny, because I think we both came from the gym, and tis the season for a lot of folks to be there. So, it's all good. It's all good. My week was also good. Kind of agree with you guys. Was looking forward to this game last night. Again, we're recording on a Tuesday. We usually record on a Monday, but because of said national championship, we decided to push our recording forward by a day, and honestly, probably didn't even need to bother because Georgia beats TCU 65-7. I mean, they weren't even trying to score at the end of this game.
They weren't. And they were trying to not score.
Yeah.
So they could not score. Guys, they did go for a fourth down. They did go for a fourth down.
Yeah. But guys, not only was this game the biggest blowout ever in a national championship, not only was it a biggest blowout in college football playoff history, guys, this was the largest blowout in bowl history. This was the fourth biggest blowout of the entire season, 65-7. Now, there's a lot of people, and understandably, upset at what we watched, because last night was just, maybe it was interesting for 20 minutes, and then it quickly got out of hand. There's so many people today saying, well, TCU didn't deserve to be here. What is the committee thinking? And as bad and horrendous as this game was, we do have to pump the brakes a little bit.
Yes.
Because TCU did beat the number 2 previously undefeated team in the semifinals to get here.
They earned their slot.
They earned their slot. I think TCU, it just an unfortunate matchup. They kind of let things snowball, and it just kept going, and they couldn't do anything to stop it. All these folks saying, well, if Michigan wouldn't have beaten Michigan, we would have had a great chance against Georgia. I also say, absolutely not. You're not going to lose by 50, but I think you lose by 20 or 30. It's interesting that we saw the championship in the semifinals. And I know Michigan has a bone to pick because they look at Ohio State and say, hey, what about us? We beat Ohio State by 20. But clearly, it seems like Georgia and Ohio State were the top 2 teams when it's all said and done. But guys, your quick thoughts, because again, there's not a ton we really need to say about this other than Georgia. It's a dynasty. I think yes, but you guys can take it from here.
I was so depressed that at halftime, assuming that there was a band playing, which I don't think there was, but I just walked to Chick-fil-A. I just needed to walk, and I needed a milkshake. So I just walked to Chick-fil-A, got a milkshake, and walked back. I was just so sad and depressed. I think all my fellow Buckeye fans feel that. Not that most college football fans weren't kind of sad, because it was such a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
It was a great season. And it was a wild, unpredictable one for every single team except Georgia, really all year. Other than that Missouri game for a brief moment, nobody really feared Georgia actually losing any game this season. So they were the best team. They are deserving to win. There's really not a lot to argue in that case, in that scenario. I think Buckeye fans were just like, oh, that national title was, you let it slip right through your grasp. Now, I think Ohio State TCU would have been a much more entertaining game. So as far as just talking about a better game, I think that would have been better for everyone because Ohio State's defense is clearly nothing remotely like Georgia's. Max Duggan and Quentin Johnston and DeMarcado would have been able to go up and down the field probably on that Buckeye defense, and it probably would have been a much, much better game. I think the Buckeyes win, but that's a tough pill to swallow if you're a Buckeye fan watching that last night, just feeling like we had this team. Like we had them. But as far as last night, nobody in the country was beating that version of Georgia. No one.
Oh, no.
Brock Bowers actually showed up. He didn't really against Ohio State, except for that one phenomenal play he made, which kind of saved the game in ways. And Jalen Carter was honestly kind of meh against Ohio State. Yep. I mean, he couldn't really seem to break through given Ohio State. Here's the difference. Nobody wants to hear this about college football, but it's true. If you don't have top 5, minimum top 10 recruiting classes, multiple of them coming into the playoff, you don't have a chance to win. You just don't. And I don't like that being true, but it is true. Alabama always is in the top 5. Georgia's had so many top 5 classes here in the last 3-4 years, ever since Kirby got there. Clemson's been there. LSU's been there. Ohio State's there every year, guys. Like, Ohio State had NFL players going against Georgia's NFL players. That's why they probably should have won that game. We don't like talking about that, but it's just true. It was sad. And I think we have to remember, like, what an incredible job Sonny Dykes and TCU. Like, let's not let this completely stain an absolute phenomenal season for TCU in Sonny Dykes' first year. And I think it's sad to see it end this way, but let's still try to remember and kind of honor the team. They had a phenomenal year.
Yeah, I don't have any formal thoughts because I went to a party that I thought was just going to be like, it was hosted by a Georgia alum. So I'm like, okay, fine. You do what you got to do. No hate there. It was a good game. I went in and I was surrounded by 25 Georgia fans. And I hate their national anthem. Or their like little, nope, hold on. I'm going to do a new take. Because it's not the national anthem. It's their fight. It's their fight song. It's been a long. I've been in like so many meetings today.
I'm going to keeping it all, Josh. Sucks to suck.
National anthem. Got it.
Their national anthem.
Well, okay, but it is like my wife Danielle said the exact same thing though. When Georgia is playing their song, like you said, Josh, over and over and over, because it's the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
It is. Oh, that's right. That's why.
So
I think
that's where you get a national anthem from. You're not that far off.
Yeah. It may as well be.
Yeah.
Georgia, please pick another song. I realize that no one likes Ohio State, and so they make fun of our song, I'm sure. And we obviously hate Michigan's fight song because it's dumb, and that's because it's dumb. But I hate it so much. I hate the words "Go Dogs" now. Like I love dogs.
I don't know, Josh. That seemed to come from the heart. What I heard is Josh hates all dogs.
Yeah.
Man, if I could fit a dog into this room, you know I would. And I would be petting him right now, guys. I don't. This is how depressed I was last night, guys. I'm just gonna change the subject. I met a Great Pyrenees Friday night. I went to a friend's birthday party. And he was so sweet. His name was Ragnar. His name was Ragnar. It was a great Friday. It was that Friday night was fantastic. I met a dog.
Much better night.
And then my Monday night was horrendous.
Yeah. Well,
so
I'll wrap up with. Sorry, go ahead.
That's it. No, I was just gonna say, good job, Georgia. Please, keep talking about how Stetson Bennett IV has had like a crazy Hollywood rise to stardom. Please tell me again how he was a walk-on. The amount of times people last night told me
he was a walk-on.
He was a walk-on, turns out. He's been at like 4 different colleges.
He was?
He's older than like most people in grad school currently.
Josh, he's our age. He's literally our
he's
age.
25.
He's
and I'm like,
to turn 26. Lamar Jackson's been in the NFL for, I think, 6 years, and he's the same age as Stetson.
Guys,
you know
if
what?
Stetson Bennett was a quarterback in the AFC right now,
see, that's
he would
also
be
fair
the third oldest quarterback in the AFC playoffs.
Good God.
Now, part of that's because Patrick
that's
Mahomes
just like
is the
Hollywood
oldest at
casting older
27,
actors to
but
play
still.
college students.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
fine.
It's
I'll wrap up
fine.
with a couple thoughts. Yes, we're kind of bitter because of how that Ohio State-Georgia game ended. And yes, we're a little bit bitter because, yes, how many thousands of times did we hear about Stetson Bennett? His story is truly remarkable. Like,
It's
if
a
we
good
get past
story.
our own
Listen, I'm
fandom-
sure he's a nice guy.
Yes.
He doesn't seem like a cocky guy, like good heart, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'll leave you guys with a couple thoughts, and then we can transition into the NFL playoffs, which I think, based on that result last night, is a much more interesting topic. So a couple things. Number one, I think as we continue out in the next couple weeks, we're going to be discussing, okay, is Georgia a dynasty? Are they not? I think the answer is pretty simple. You win back-to-back titles in college football. Yeah. That's a difficult task to do. You are a dynasty, considering they've also made a couple national championship appearances in that same kind of general time span. Also, here's their non-conference schedule next year. UT Martin, Ball State, UAB, Georgia Tech. And by the way, their crossover games in the West are, I think they play Ole Miss, and I know they don't play Alabama. I don't think they play LSU. I think it's Auburn.
They always play Auburn.
They do play at Tennessee late November, but like literally, I'm telling you right now, at November, like second to last week of the season, and I know they're going to lose a lot to the NFL, but they're also bringing in a tremendous amount of talent.
Lose enough.
That's the first game on their schedule that I can even see that is reasonable for them to lose. So this team is not going anywhere. They'll be right back in it. There's also a lot of complaints. Again, I'll kind of address this. Everyone's saying, well, expansion's just the way to go. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But here's a fact to know. Yes, this championship was bad. 58 points. I'd like to remind people, remember the good times of those two incredible semifinals. But also consider that the last 5 years, we've seen blowouts in the national championship game, kind of with the exception of last year. Technically, last year, 2021, Georgia wins by 15. That's a little deceiving because of the pick 6 at the end of the game. But in 2020, Alabama wins by 28. 2019, LSU wins by 27. 2018, Clemson wins by 28. This is becoming a theme. And I personally don't think a 12-team playoff or really any other format is going to change this. So there's a lot of people saying, well, a expanded playoff, TCU doesn't get in. I disagree. You look at who they would have ended up playing. I think the path is very easy for TCU to get right to the semifinals, right where they were this year. And it doesn't matter. We don't need to have like these deep discussions. Bottom line is Georgia, from start to finish, was the best team in college football. We didn't necessarily realize it maybe week 1. Well, we did realize it week 1. When they beat Oregon the way they did, 49-3 to begin the year, that's when you knew. When that kind of Georgia team showed up, it was over for everybody. They had a couple weeks where they didn't quite play their best. That's kind of not surprising considering this was a team coming off of a national title. You kind of expect those games. And look, maybe we'll get a couple of those next year where Georgia's just not focused. They've won 2 titles in a row. What's kind of the motivation level? Apparently their motivation level is whatever it needs to be because Kirby Smart hypnotizes his players or does something. We'll talk about that more. But anyways, congrats to Georgia. Just coast-to-coast victory. We were foolish enough to keep them out of our playoffs, so shame on us, I guess. But you thought losing 15 players to the NFL draft would have some impact, and clearly it did not. And a lot of their key freshmen and sophomore players that played in these games are coming back next year as well. So Georgia's here to stay, and David Pollock saying it right in the face of Nick Saban. He's absolutely right. All right, guys, it's time for a little something we like to call true or false. We've done this once before, but let me kind of reintroduce the game for those that may not be familiar. So we ask you, the listener, on Instagram to help us answer some questions, true or false. We gave you guys 4 statements. You guys obliged. You voted true or false, and these are all pertaining to mostly the NFL playoffs and the NFL. Now, Jonny and Josh have no idea what you guys answered. So we're
I don't
gonna
even
play,
know what a poll is.
Yeah. Yeah, double blind experiment. Is that anyways? So here's the deal. We're just going to read out the 4 statements. So Josh and Johnny, here's what we'll do. I'll read out the statements. Number 1, you can tell me if you think the listeners said true or false. And then if you have an opinion on this statement, you can give us your true or false, and I can do the same. So number 1, the Dallas Cowboys are the biggest frauds in the playoffs. Did our audience think that was true or false? And I will say all 4 of these statements were very close in voting.
I bet the audience said this is true.
Okay. Yeah.
Whether I agree with it or not.
Yes, I don't know if I disagree, but I think they're voting true on this one.
Okay, you guys are saying true.
People hate the Cowboys. So.
People hate the Cowboys.
This is true. This is true. But the poll was false by 52%.
Really?
It was close.
We have a reasonable audience.
Yeah, this was close. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts. I'll go ahead and say I actually voted false for this. And here's why. This is a little bit of a nuanced answer. And Johnny, I think it's what you said. People hate the Cowboys. I also think people realize that they're frauds. Isn't part of being a fraud, like, there has to be like some people that believe in you? Does anybody believe in the Dallas Cowboys right now?
Cowboys fans. They're delusional. They're just as delusional
not
as Georgia football players are.
Not as much down here. I will say it's interesting. It's a little bit more realistic. Maybe they're just leaning into the bets.
Maybe that's
but
because
there is no grandiose. The language is not as grandiose as it used to be.
And Josh, maybe it's because down there they're real Cowboys fans rather than the national brand Cowboys fans. You know what I mean?
The people who,
like, you guys are kind of like, if you'll follow me here, little case Cowboys fans. We're like uppercase Cowboy fans. Like, everyone are delusional as crap, and they're bandwagon fans because that's the only reason that you are from the Midwest and you cheer for the Cowboys. Like, there are a million teams here. Why are you cheering for the Cowboys? But I do think they're frauds. Aaron, how you're saying that is a great point. I think the biggest problem, though, is the Minnesota Vikings exist as well.
Yeah, that was what I was about to say.
And I think that's part of the problem here, where it's as biggest frauds in the playoffs. And we're not saying, like, are the Cowboys the worst team in the playoffs? No, the Dolphins are in the playoffs. Correct. And the Seahawks are in the playoffs. Like, we're not saying they're the worst team, but, like, people are still picking the Cowboys to make it to the NFC title game. And I don't see that possible.
No,
I don't. The Vikings are playing the Giants, and they're only 3-point favorites. And with that record, you should be a 6-point favorite minimum at home against Daniel Jones and a rookie head coach. And I think Brian Daboll's great. But the Vikings are either making it by the skin of their teeth or getting just destroyed on the football field. And there's no in between. And I'm not exaggerating. So I think that's probably part of the issue with the question that people are thinking about the Vikings.
That's exactly what my answer was going to be. Consider it took a 61-yard field goal for the Vikings to beat the Giants just a few weeks ago.
Right.
I also, as flawed as the Dallas Cowboys are, and I know it's Tom Brady in the playoffs, and Tom Brady actually has a 7-0 record in the against the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys at least get to play an 8-9 Tampa Bay team that has been extremely flawed. So part of it is
they'll beat them.
The Bucs will beat them. Yeah, I have no doubt. But
no, the Cowboys don't know what to do with themselves.
But we've made that. But that's the thing, right? We've made that joke for weeks.
Tom Brady's going to turn on whatever playoff brain he has. He'll turn on his playoff body or whatever, and threaten the lives of his receivers. And yeah.
That's how bad it is, though, Aaron. I've gotten to the point where me, who never wants Tom Brady to win anything else in his career, kind of wants the Buccaneers to beat the Cowboys in the first round.
It's the worst. It's the worst game. No one wants to root for it.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, I agree with you guys. I think that's probably why it was such a tight split. There's a lot of people that say, hey, the Cowboys aren't good, because here's just a couple stats to kind of back up what we're saying about the Cowboys. So Dak Prescott finished the season tied for the league lead in interceptions. And oh, by the way, he missed 5 games due to injury. No player has missed 5 games or more and still tied for the league lead in interceptions. He is by himself in that very specific record. Obviously, Dallas had potentially a chance to... Now, the Eagles won, took care of business. But going into Week 18, the Cowboys had a chance at the top seed. They got beat by the Washington Commanders, who had nothing to play for, 26-6. Our good friend Paul Hembakaitis, he was a guest of this show a couple months ago, put this stat out on Twitter, and I thought it was fascinating. In the last 3 games, the Cowboys have been outgained 1,068 to 962 against teams quarterbacked by Gardner Minshew, Joshua Dobbs, and Sam Howell. And no disrespect to those quarterbacks, but you're not talking about elite quarterbacks. So there's some issues here. One final stat, the Cowboys have lost their last 8 road playoff games dating back to 1995. So historically, this recipe of going on the road has not been a successful thing for the Cowboys. Playing Tom Brady has not been a successful thing for the Cowboys. Even with all that, I think there's actually a chance they can squeak out this game, but we'll see. No one's going to be shocked if Tampa Bay wins. I don't think anybody will.
No.
So, all right. Question number 2, true or false? The Cincinnati Bengals will return to the Super Bowl. What do you guys think our audience said?
Oh, this one's
They're a
tough.
bunch of doubters, so they said no.
You know what? I'll go true on this one.
Josh, good job. Yes, our audience said true by 53%. Another close one.
Our audience knows what's up.
Another close one. Jonny, are you a doubter? What do you feel about your Cincinnati Bengals team heading into this playoff season?
Well, I felt better before the losing linemen the last 2 weeks. And that's really the biggest question mark on the team. So starting right tackle, Leo Collins tears his ACL. He's done for the year. And then Alex Kappa, our right guard, is now out for the year with an ankle injury. So not only is it, there's 5 offensive linemen and you lost 2 of them, they're both on the same side of the ball. So the right side of the offensive line is completely vulnerable now. Now the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl with, honestly, probably still a worse offensive line last year. But they also didn't have to go to Buffalo. And so that is most likely their next round matchup after Baltimore. And I'm terrified of Baltimore. Lamar is still perhaps playing in that game. And I know he could be rusty, but you never know. Playing a division team 3 times is really, really tough.
That's rough.
It's a really, really tough. Playing back-to-back weeks is really tough. So it'll be interesting. There's no gimme games there. Really would have loved the chance for the Bengals to get the 2 seed. We obviously understand why they didn't get that chance in some ways. But like Buffalo gets to play Miami probably without Tua and probably should be able to rest their starters later in the game, where the Bengals are going to be in a fist fight with the Ravens the whole time and then have to go to Orchard Park up in Buffalo. So I'm never going to bet against this team. They still have as good of a chance as anybody. I mean, the Chiefs play perhaps the Chargers or Jags. That's not a gimme game for the Chiefs. I know they'll be hosting them, but perhaps playing either one of those teams most likely. So they won't have an easy game. I'm never going to count out the Bengals, but it's a tougher road. It's a tougher path than last year. And it's a better team. So it's kind of an interesting, the Bengals are better this year, but the road is much tougher. Last year, they got kind of fortunate playing the Raiders at home. Then they get the 1 seeds, the Titans. So that's kind of fortunate. And then you're in the AFC Championship game. So you're going to be playing a really good team, and you get the Chiefs. This year, it's Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City. So I think you would almost always say that Baltimore and Buffalo are much tougher than Tennessee and Las Vegas. So I think they can do it, though. I still think they can do it. You got Joe Burrow on the team.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think they can. At this point, I'm not going to pick them in my Super Bowl, and I don't think Josh is either, but we'll get to our actual Super Bowl picks here in a minute, so we won't spoil anything.
Save the cigars for next year.
Yeah, that's right. All right, question number 3. True or false, Brock Purdy, Mr. Relevant, and the San Francisco 49ers will reach the Super Bowl. True or false?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they put true on this one.
They did.
And I agree.
This was the most, only 59%, but this was the most dominant of the true or false questions. So 59% of people think the San Francisco 49ers will reach the Super Bowl. I'm one of them. Look, I kind of wavered on this because, yes, Brock Purdy's been sensational. He's also a rookie quarterback, and historically, rookie quarterbacks really struggle come playoff time. But how many rookies have been on a team with the kind of weapons on both sides of the ball that Brock Purdy's on? Give Kyle Shanahan an incredible amount of credit for taking his third-string quarterback and not missing a beat. This team, in my mind, has a lot of answers for the teams that they're going to find. Seattle is really fairly reliant on Kenneth Walker. I like Bosa and Werner, like players like that. I like their chances to stop the run, to make life miserable for Geno Smith. And that's just the first round game. We can obviously discuss more later as we go, but that's kind of my initial thoughts. I do like the 49ers. We'll see if I have them in the Super Bowl, but yeah.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't really see the argument against them. I think the other really, really great roster in the NFC is Philadelphia, but they're so hurt. And I was hoping to see Jalen Hurts healthy in that game, and it was almost like they played him because they knew they had to get that 1 seed so he could rest again. So it was almost like, just get in there, do enough so that we can survive this week and win, and then we'll figure out in the playoffs. But he was even talking about how much pain he was in. Lane Johnson may or may not be back. Their star right tackle, perhaps the best right tackle in the game. They are starting to be very beat up, where the 49ers, other than at the quarterback position, are very healthy as a team. And people don't like hearing it, but making it to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl oftentimes is just attrition. And the 49ers might have the best roster in the entire league, and they're relatively healthy. And I just don't see. I mean, do you really think Minnesota's going to beat them? Do you really think, like, who's going to challenge this team? Seattle doesn't have a chance this week. Philadelphia is the only roster I really see having a prayer. I mean, if Tampa somehow, I don't know how this would really happen, but if Tampa somehow played them, gosh, Tampa would get run off the field just because their offense wouldn't be able to do anything against the 49ers. And I don't think they're alone in that in the NFC. The NFC is very top heavy. It's not a deep conference this year like the AFC is. I would be stunned if the 49ers aren't in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's probably going to be my pick. We'll see. Again, not to spoil anything. Josh, do you remember the Nebraska curse?
I do remember I do remember the Nebraska curse. Yes.
Yeah. So
and
it
I said it
turns
perfectly
out
the first time.
Exactly. It turns out it's contagious. Did you know? Because
super contagious?
Yes, super contagious. Because San Francisco has inherited the Nebraska curse. Guys, opponents went 0 for 15 the week after facing the 49ers this season. 0 for 15.
Oh my goodness.
And look, part of that's just random. It happened. But part of it is like San Francisco just has such great weapons on both sides of the ball that they'll just run you into the ground. And it's tough to get up for your game the next week. So doesn't really matter at this point in the playoffs because obviously you lose the 49ers. You're not playing any more games this season, but I think we're all in agreement here. All right, final true or false, and this one's perhaps up for a little bit more of a debate and not playoff related. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers will retire in the offseason. True or false?
Ooh.
Gosh, I hope so. So we don't have to talk about this anymore.
I thought we stopped talking about him last year.
I bet people said yes, and I disagree with them.
Okay.
Man, this one's tough. I'm going to go. What did our audience think? I think they said false on this one.
You guys are both correct or incorrect, depending on how you're feeling. It was an exact tie, 50%
really
split down the middle. So
oh my gosh.
Let me, as a Lions fan, give me my 30 seconds to boast here about my Lions. Finished the season 9-8. That was probably the best game I've ever seen from Detroit. I love the fact that even though Detroit had nothing to play for, and that was a little bit of a bummer, Baker Mayfield's still a little upset at you. Even though Detroit had nothing to play for, in terms of playoffs, they did have everything to play for and knocking out the Packers. You could see that they were still exceptionally motivated, if anything, and I think they might have said this on the broadcast, not having the playoffs on the line might have actually made the Lions a more dangerous team because they were just throwing everything. Like every play they had left in the book, they were throwing at the Packers. I mean, you saw a hook and ladder like screenplay. They were throwing on fourth down. Now, that is a snapshot of what this team has been doing this season. Under Dan Campbell, they are extremely aggressive. No team went for it more times on fourth down than the Detroit Lions, but this was an incredible game. And I'm glad that folks got to see this Detroit team. And as they've kind of hit this amazing resurgence in the second half, reminder, this was a team that started 1-5 or 1-6 and completely turned it around and went 6-2. They've got draft picks number 6 and number 18 in the first round. I think they're going to be a decent free agent destination. Most of the players on the roster, the key players, are coming back. I would love to see them re-sign Jamal Williams. If they don't, I'm going to riot. Otherwise, the future's bright, and I think, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I think a lot of people are going to pick Detroit to win the division next year. I think a lot of people are. Now, their defense has to get better. They were dead last in defense. If they have an average defense this year, they win 11 games, they're in the playoffs, and it's a much different conversation. But if you told me at the beginning of the year, Detroit 9 wins, I think just about every single Lions fan would take it. So that being said, I bring that up because the Lions, of course, and the Packers, who all they had to do was win, and they're in the playoffs. They could not get it done. So Seattle gets that 7 seed. But guys, Aaron Rodgers threw 12 interceptions this year. That's the most since his rookie season. He was breaking in new wide receivers. That was dramatic. Just about everything he does is dramatic. I'm kind of with you guys. I would not shed a tear if he just walks away. But I don't think he will.
No, I don't think so.
He has 55 million reasons to return. I believe 55 is the correct number.
Yeah.
But we're going to play this. We're going to have this dance all off season where we have no idea, because Aaron probably doesn't have any idea, but he's going to miss mini camp, and he's going to do as little work as possible. You know what? You know why the Packers didn't make the playoffs this year? It's because it took them 8 weeks to adjust to the wide receivers and for them to get on the same page. Not even 8 weeks. It took them like 12 weeks. What were they, like 4-7, 4-8?
I think they were 4-8 because they won their last 4. Yeah.
You know when those reps should have happened? Minicamp, training camp, where you adjust and get used to the receivers on your team. Instead, that happened during the regular season, and you paid for it. You needed one more win, and you get in. And I have to believe, if you show up, Christian Watson gets on the same page with you much sooner than he did. And clearly, he is a good wide receiver. It was a hit on the draft. They did a good job. Packers identified a talent at wide receiver. Good job, Packers. Like, you did your job. But if your quarterback's not there to help, especially a rookie wide receiver, get used to everything, get those drops that he had in games, maybe out of the way on the practice field a little bit more, and maybe he still struggles. I can't say that 100% certain. But I have to believe if he's there in the offseason and he puts in that work and dedication, the Packers are in the playoffs right now. I really, truly believe that. And I don't think most people would disagree. Like, that's a huge deal, especially with young players. Does Aaron need the reps? Maybe not. But your teammates do, and you're reliant on them. And I just don't see that dedication from him. Honestly, I get the sense Packers fans are worn out. Like, they almost would be okay with him retiring, or better yet for them, trading him to somewhere else and getting a few draft picks back. I don't think he retires. I think he plays another year. But he's not the same top 5 quarterback in the league either. So even if he comes back, of course, they'll talk about the Packers at the top of the division. They always do. But that is not a given. It's not a given anymore. I think if I remember right, I picked the Vikings to win that division this year.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of this nonsense.
I think I did too. Yeah.
People are tired. They're tired of this.
Yeah, I agree.
And especially when you only have one Super Bowl to show for it.
Got him.
Especially.
Right. I mean, and that's not all on Aaron.
No.
He had horrible defenses for many, many years. So let's not like just totally pile on him. But I think the lack of dedication and the flip-flopping, almost just like Brett Favre used to do with the Packers, is just annoying everyone. Everyone's on eggshells. The front office doesn't know. Are we going all in right now to try to win, or are we trying to get Jordan Love in and maybe get some draft picks and surround him with more talent? Listen, like the NFC is so bad. If Jordan Love is okay, the Packers with that roster, especially if they get picks for Rodgers, are a playoff team. They are. They are, because Jordan Love will be there in minicamp. He'll be there in the offseason. Like, if he's okay. And we don't know. And that's the problem. But, man, it's got to be frustrating. It's got to be frustrating to do the same little dance if you're a Packers fan every single offseason.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I can't remember. And again, I'm relatively young, so my memory doesn't span back super far. But I don't remember a quarterback dragging his wide receivers like publicly in the media than Aaron Rodgers. Like,
and rookies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I've never seen that from Tom Brady. You wouldn't ever see it from a Peyton Manning, really any quarterback, quite frankly. And I think the Packers, it's a careful balance, because I think they realized one misstep and Aaron Rodgers is gone. But they've also babied him so much that I think they've cornered themselves into a bad situation. And that's where they're at right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But guys, thanks for playing True or False. I think Josh was technically the winner there, so congrats.
Yeah.
Congrats on that. But thank you guys, welcome. The listeners, for voting. We'll do it again. And again, I think we that poll might still be up depending on when you listen to this episode. So feel free to check it out. Maybe it's shifted. Maybe Aaron Rodgers leaving is now false. Maybe it's true. Who knows? But appreciate you guys doing that. We're also gathering your Super Bowl predictions. That was also up on our Instagram. So, of course, hit at 5th and Goal Sports on Instagram, where we've got some other content and fun things there as well. All right. There are obviously the 6 wildcard games. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on there that you guys want to mention as far as the playoffs?
Quarterback injuries, I think, is one of the biggest stories for the first round. Like, it says Lamar right now, I just saw the news at the gym before I got here, was trending towards returning for that game at Cincinnati, which would make that Sunday night game really, really interesting. He still has not practiced, though. So I do want to say that, like, we're 2 days into the week and he has not even stepped foot on the practice field. He has not practiced since he's had that MCL injury. So what does Lamar look like? Tua is still in concussion protocol as of now, playing in Buffalo against the Bills. Guys, we've seen what that Miami team looks like. They don't have a prayer if Tua's not playing. And honestly, even if Tua does play, I mean, what state is he in right now? And honestly, he probably should not be playing for his own good. And then I guess I'm only talking about the AFC, which I feel bad, but I don't know. Those games are more interesting to me. The Chargers, Brandon Staley, what on earth are you doing in that Week 18 game? Playing all of your starters that long? Mike Williams might not play now. Your best or second best receiver, if you will, Joey Bosa, might not play because you left them in. And I get it. Young teams, normally you're like, I don't know if I want to sit a bunch of my starters. You think Brian Daboll and the Giants regret that for one moment after seeing what the Chargers did? The Giants benched everyone because they were locked into their seed. They benched everyone, so nobody got hurt. The Chargers were locked into their seed, almost the exact same situation as the Giants, and they get 2 of their most important players hurt. Like, what on earth are you doing? I understand them being in for a little bit in the game. Like, maybe you throw them in for a quarter. After that, what are you doing? Like, Justin Herbert stayed in the game for way too long. And I don't like seeing Chase Daniel out there because I want him to get his money for not playing. But that was nuts. That was crazy for him not to put him in there. I actually think the Chargers-Jacksonville games is one of the best games of the weekend. I know it's the first game. I think it's the first game. Second game. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. 2 young teams, 2 young quarterbacks, first time in the playoffs. I think it's going to be a really, really great game. Yeah. I don't know. We kind of touched on the rest of them. Josh, you got anything?
Yeah. I will say, I don't want to push us too forward. I think I just found my straight to jail. It's haunting.
Well, I think that's where we're headed.
I'm verifying it. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's real.
Uh-oh. All right. Josh has got it straight to jail real quick. I gave a shout out to my Lions.
Yes.
Josh, I feel like we got to give a shout out to your Steelers. They finished 9-8. They missed the playoffs.
Yeah, can I just say, that's what I was going to say. Thank you. Before man-made horrors beyond my comprehension, can I just talk about efficiency right here for just a hot second, if I could?
Do.
First off, screw Deshaun Watson. He gets the basic respect of being a human being, but he's a terrible human being. And screw the Browns for paying him like $1 billion. Can I tell you how much Kenny Pickett got paid per year?
Yeah.
And give me a second.
He just got drafted.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not gonna no. And that's fine. I have no issue with that. He's making about 3.5 a year. That's what his contract is. Deshaun Watson's making $46 million a year to lose to Kenny Pickett, and I just really think that's beautiful. I just think it's great. Steelers don't need to spend that much money because we're fine. We know exactly how to spend it. So, and didn't get into the playoffs. That's okay. I'm not upset. Mike Tomlin gets to keep his keep his above 500 just by a game, just barely. But the streak has not snapped. I can't wait to see what happens next year. I don't know. I'm not 100% certain that Kenny's the answer, but he's also a rookie. I'm going to give him a chance. Guys, give him some development.
No offense to any Seahawks fans or Dolphins fans. Actually, take offense, Dolphins fans.
Please do.
You guys have been annoying all year. Wouldn't everyone rather see Detroit and Pittsburgh in the playoffs?
Yes.
And I'm a Bengals
a lot more
fan,
fun.
but like I do my power rankings every single week, and I have Miami down at like 16 or 17 right now. Seattle's just ahead of them, like at 16, and I think I have Detroit at like 11, and Pittsburgh's at like 12. I mean, those two teams are playing so well at the end of the season. Wouldn't it be so much more fun to see Buffalo have to deal with Pittsburgh and that pass rush? And to see, Detroit go up against, I know it's the 49ers, and that would be a tough ask, but that would be a fun, interesting, at least matchup to look at all week leading up to it. Wouldn't we rather have that? And I'm a Bengals fan, and I'm just saying, like, gosh, the Steelers are much better than the Dolphins right now at this point in the season. And the Lions are much better than the Seahawks at this point in the season. And unfortunately, the tiebreakers didn't go that way. And the Dolphins nearly blew it, and so did the Seahawks. They both escaped their games, but it is what it is. But I think that was like my final reaction to that after Sunday. I was like, dang it. We really don't have necessarily the best 14 teams in here. But you got to win games.
Yep.
So
you do.
Miami
Lions
and
had
Seattle
plenty of chances. Don't give up like 5,000 yards to the Panthers. Don't give up 50 plus points to the Seahawks. That was all that you needed to do there. But yeah, I agree with you guys. All right. Josh, what do you got for us?
Guys, welcome to Straight to Jail. This is the Jonny segment.
I love this segment.
This is a great segment. It might be my new favorite segment. Chess Heads is currently just in hiatus. Litigation is just not happening. So this is the winter segment during the time when no weird sports are happening. Guys, Sony. We talked last week for our inaugural Straight to Jail. Two of our Straight to Jails were commercials. It was the Old Navy and it was the Burger King. I only got one Whopper commercial.
Yeah, I think there's only one.
No.
I was fine.
No, there were more than that.
Really?
Well, we only got one down south.
Yeah, I only got
there were 3.
Oh, sorry, Johnny.
3. Yeah. Well, I actually didn't watch the entire game, so there might have been additional ones, but I saw 3.
Now, to be fair, I also was really sad. So I kind of stopped paying attention. They could have thrown a Whopper commercial up there, and I wouldn't have even known. Sony has, and I'm on Google Patents, so I'm on the publicly listed patents. Back in 2009, Sony filed a patent, and it will expire in 2030. So it is still good for another 7-ish years. They have a patent currently on a device that when it must be connected to looks like it's connected to the TV or connected to the TV and then the programming. To stop a commercial, you have to yell the name of the makers of the ads in order to stop the commercial. So say Burger King's throwing up their stupid Whopper commercial. You have to yell at your TV Burger King until it hears you. And then it will stop the ad. And
why is that jail, Josh? I'm okay with that.
No,
It'll stop the ad.
No, Johnny, I'm not screaming at my TV.
Yeah.
Burger King in order to stop the Whopper commercial. I will mute it like a man.
I do anything.
Well, okay, but think about Burger
and
King's
see, and they're
pretty
playing
mild
on that, Johnny. They're playing on that.
Yes.
I do anything.
They're playing on that. I will do anything.
That Burger King commercial is the Taco Bell commercials lately, where they're doing slow-mo zoomed in on people licking their fingers.
That was a little bit gross.
Taco.
Yeah,
That's
I'm like,
awful.
no one's ever.
That.
I indulge in some Taco Bell every now and then. I get it. I have not seen anyone savor. Say, oh my goodness,
it's
what a
awful.
What a fantastically created thing. I'm going to finish all of this. Clean Plate Club. No one has ever said that about their Taco Bell order.
No, they try to hide and
food,
eat it in the dark.
It is food you eat in the car on the way back.
Yes. Yes, it is.
You are not supposed to look at it.
Well, see, I think I'm with you. I'm with you, Josh. This is a horrible thing because Burger King's a relatively mild mannered thing.
It's mild. But
wait till like some cologne commercial comes on that you have absolutely no idea how to pronounce, and you're just screaming random words that are vaguely Italian at your TV.
Yes. See, it's like, funny, but straight to jail.
And the problem is you won't be able to stop the cologne commercial until it's over because you never know that it's a cologne commercial.
Awesome. Well,
true. See, what that's going to do, and you know this, Johnny. What it's going to do, it's going to force all of these guys to not. You're not going to know, and so unless you can guess, oh, this is probably a Doritos commercial,
right? Yeah.
And this is, or you can make a fake company. And like you could, again, all of these companies with like these weird names, like, we're getting a bunch of new domain names, and because all the normal names are taken up, you have to like have these weird like new words that just aren't really words that don't flow well. Like it's going to be impossible, and then they're going to play a 1.5-minute ad like those Sarah McLachlan commercials for the dogs, and you're going to feel bad yelling whatever organization that was. To get rid of the sad dogs. See, they're gonna play to your emotions, Johnny. Yep. This is dangerous. This is Skynet. Straight to jail.
I'm just picturing it now. It's straight to jail. Let me set the scene for you guys. All right, it's mid-October of 2026. Tennessee and Alabama are back at it again after years of back and forth games. We're in the early stages of the fourth quarter. It's coming down to the wire, and we head to commercial. And Johnny just has to sit there on the couch screaming Habitat for Humanity. Like, no. Good for you guys saving puppies or whatever you guys do. But no. Nope, I hate it. Straight to jail.
It's the worst.
Yep. Straight to jail. Good one, Josh. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can go next, and then Johnny, you've got a real good one, so we can let you wrap up. I had a very, we're not necessarily going to do straight to jail every week, but if something comes to us that just outrages us, then we're going to throw it in. And this was easy. This was a slam dunk for me. SoFi Stadium, recently built, home of the Rams and the Chargers, and of course, home of this national championship we just had, did not allow tailgating, which is just, I don't even need to say it, but that's a cardinal sin of college football. Like, what are we doing? Now, I, for one, don't think we should be playing these national championship games in NFL stadiums. Like, play it in the Rose Bowl. If you're in LA, play it in the Rose Bowl.
It's so much fun.
Or I'd rather have it
can hold as many people as you want it to hold. Yeah.
Now, I get it. California had some weird weather. Apparently, it was only raining on the TCU side of the field in a dome stadium. I don't quite fully understand how that worked last night.
It's open on that side.
Okay, well, it's still dumb. So I hate all of that. I hate the fact that there's no tailgating. Like, there's no good reason why there shouldn't be tailgating, because it's not a parking issue, because you're parking there anyways. So just dumb.
You can even earn more money.
Yeah,
you can make more money off tailgating. Yeah. You can charge more.
So look, like SoFi last year for the Super Bowl, I thought it was great. Made a lot of sense for that to be a Super Bowl environment. It just seems kind of, and I know it's a fancy stadium and however millions of dollars they pumped into that to make it, but it just seems kind of stagnant for a college football national championship. I know there's some people floating around the idea just play it in the Rose Bowl every year. I have zero issue with that.
Be awesome.
Fine.
There's a lot of other, and now if you look at the next few stadiums that the championship game is being played at, I believe it's being played in Houston next year at the Texans stadium. I think it moves around, but it's staying in NFL domed stadiums. And I get it. You don't want weather to be a factor. You want there to be, it look nice or whatever, but I don't know. I'd rather it be in the Rose Bowl. I'd rather it be in a place that feels a little bit more authentically college football, because it just doesn't. So
absolutely
straight to jail. The people that thought that no tailgating was a good idea, straight to jail right away.
Yeah, Stan Kroenke sucks. Sticking with what happened last night at SoFi Stadium, straight to jail for Kirby Smart. And you're like, Johnny, why on earth should Kirby Smart go to jail? He just won the national championship by the largest margin ever. Like, Georgia's a dynasty. He's doing everything perfectly.
We all knew this would happen.
He took a page out of his mentor and has learned the skills from Nick Saban on how to brainwash players. Now, what do I mean? What do I mean by that? First off, Kirby Smart's really the only Nick Saban disciple who has left and been just awesome and seemed to kind of take what Nick was doing at Alabama to the next place. And Nick Saban always had, he uses the term rat poison all the time because the media will speak so highly of Alabama and his players. And he's always trying to find that chip for Alabama to be upset and like somehow, some way, that kind of Michael Jordan, like somebody's counting you out, even if it was a 5-year-old girl on the street. Like, oh, people are counting us out. I've heard from multiple Georgia players since the end of that game that there were people predicting them to go 7-5. No one predicted Georgia to go 7-5. Not a soul. And I don't mean not sports analysts or commentators. I mean no person who watches college football in the entire country thought they were going 7-5. No random dude on Twitter thought they were going 7-5. That's impossible. You were ranked 3rd going into the season. As soon as you beat Oregon, everyone's like, crap, that's the best team. I don't want to hear it. Like, that is some straight up brainwashing. I don't know how Kirby Smart does this, how Nick Saban does this. They trick their players into thinking somehow that they're underdogs. Like, what on earth? Georgia being an underdog? Not a chance. Not a chance. I don't know how he does it, but jail for brainwashing.
And it wasn't just him. It's every Georgia fan. And I'm sorry, every Georgia fan. This is truth. I was on TikTok. I was on TikTok things where like the joke was when that got released. There's a bunch of jokes on TikTok, and this one woman who I follow who does like sports jokes. She had to reply to her own video saying, "Hey, I'm getting a bunch of comments from Georgia fans saying, oh yeah, they did doubt us. We were ranked number 3 for a little while."
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, that's not an underdog.
That's not doubt. That's wrong.
That's not doubt.
But the 7-5 thing is just a straight up lie.
Yeah.
No one did that. And if someone did, Kirby Smart hired him. He paid that man to predict 7-5. That nobody did that. That's lies. But I mean, hats off to you. You were somehow able to convince everyone on your team that it was true. But I can respect you and still put you in jail. So straight to jail.
Georgia had 15 5-stars and 53 4-stars on their roster. A roster coming off of a national championship. Not a soul. Like, none of us had them in our playoffs simply because we thought Alabama was going to be one of the worst teams.
Yeah, it wasn't
we had them 11-1 in the regular season.
The only thing I'll give them is that we were like, maybe they aren't for a little bit, we were trying to figure out if they were the clear front runner.
We thought Alabama was better coming into the year. Yeah. That was it.
Exactly.
That's the only thing you have on everybody.
Oh, underdogs. They have something to prove now. They got a chip on their shoulder. But hey, you know what?
Sorry,
whatever he said worked.
Like, you split with Alabama last year. There was no reason to think that was insane. And Alabama probably beat you if we don't need to go there. But jail. And really quick, Bally Sports, jail. You have like a 10-year sentence in this jail because as soon as you bought Fox Sports Ohio, and I know they've done this throughout the country, you basically removed it from all streaming platforms to the point where you can't watch your local team if you don't have cable. If you have a streaming platform and that's how you watch most of your sports or television in general, you basically can't watch your sports. What does that mean to me? I can't watch the Columbus Blue Jackets. I can't watch the Columbus Crew. I can't watch the Cincinnati Reds. I can't watch the Cleveland Cavaliers. I can't watch any of them. And I have NBA TV. Doesn't matter. Blackout. Yeah. So Bally Sports, jail. I know they're starting to get a streaming platform of their own going here soon. Don't get it. Don't do it. Don't help them out. Jail for Bally Sports. You guys are the worst.
Yeah, I'll give you a lot of credit for that one. As much as the Kirby Smart thing is wild to me, I'm not putting him in jail because it's at the end of the day, it's so wildly impressive that he can actually pull something like that off. I will agree with Bally Sports. Straight to jail forever. Forget 10-year sentence. Just forever until they, I don't know. Their penance is community service, which in this case is giving all of that content to us for free. That's what they deserve. So that's their sentence.
No.
Straight to jail.
If Paddington gets 10 years in jail, they get.
Oh man. Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, that's been straight to jail. Again, as always, you can submit your thoughts. If you would like us, the keepers of this interesting world that we've made and created for ourselves, then hit us up on Twitter, Instagram. All right.
If you'd like us to go to jail.
Yeah, but we'll tell you no because we're in charge.
We won't.
But sure, go ahead. Yeah, we won't. You're right, Josh. If you'd like us to, tough. Picks of the week. Guys, last week we had a couple of championships. Obviously, Georgia claimed a championship, but how about the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State? They pulled off the FCS championship, knocking off North Dakota State, winning the Battle of the Dakotas. So good for them. Josh and Johnny. Oh, I forgot to put the current standings in here. That's really awkward. Future editing Aaron's going to have to edit this all out.
Me and Josh got it, though. Good job, Josh.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. And then
Jackrabbits.
Yeah, knew it.
Yes, you
never had that in my mind.
Georgia.
And also, we all, you know what we did? And I just want to congratulate real quick Iowa due to the transitive property.
Oh yeah,
you guys got two. You guys got two. You got two champions. Good job.
Yes. Yeah, of course, notably that 7-3 victory over South Dakota State, where there was two safeties, and they beat Kentucky by more points than Georgia did. So you're right, Josh. Transitive property is law around these parts. So congrats to the Hawkeyes, who have almost as many championships as they do passing touchdowns this season. Our scoreboard, I did finally pull it up. Yes, you guys mentioned it. Josh and Johnny, you guys both got that correct. We all got Georgia correct. So I've got 54 points. You guys both have 50. So you gained a point on me because I did pick North Dakota State. And that takes us to this week where we have, of course, the NFL playoffs starting. We alluded to it. We are going to be picking the Super Bowl. So we'll start with that and then we'll circle back around because the Australian Open is beginning this week. We are kind of kicking off the 2023 tennis season for real. Of course, Grand Slams are up for grabs, and that means the likes of Nadal and Djokovic are still trying to add to their total. So I'll start with the NFL stuff, and then we can cover tennis. I do have the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl, and I have them avenging a previous Super Bowl loss to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I can't believe I did it because I started out this week thinking, can a rookie quarterback even make it to the Super Bowl? And here I am picking them to win it over Patrick Mahomes, mind you. Now, I know it didn't work out well for teams last year who got the bye, but I do think and you mentioned this, Johnny, in a loaded AFC, I think getting that first round bye from the Chiefs is going to become really handy. And not so much that you don't have to play in the wild card round, but it's the fact that you get to miss Buffalo in pretty much any situation, I think, unless you were going to play them in the AFC Championship game. So I feel good about that. I think the Chiefs get there. I'm just going out on a limb. I say the 49ers are going to get revenge for that previous Super Bowl loss. So I've got the 49ers.
So I also have the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I have them losing to the Bills. And that is simply because of I do not hate the Bengals.
Yes,
I realize I'm a bad Steelers fan for not hating the Bengals. But put away the cigars and please go to work. But I just based on strength of schedule, essentially. I think their path, and we talked about this earlier, is a much easier path. And I think the Bills, once they get there, Josh Allen's an absolute beast.
Yeah.
And we'll see that. As far as are we doing the Australian Open?
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool. I'm cool because I was also trying to learn how to pronounce everyone's names because I am terrible. So, thank you. See, this is why I have my actually well-researched friends on the podcast with me. That way I don't make a fool of myself like I did on episode 1 and just pretend like I know what geography is. I do have a map. I do have a globe here just in case I ever want to name a country.
Yeah, but what year was that globe made, Johnny?
It is from 1891, so it still has Persia on it. It still has Persia.
Yeah.
But the Congo Free States. Yeah, spelled with a K. It's great. Yeah. Totally still there. Anyway, I'm gonna pick Nadal.
Okay.
And I'll go Swiatek. Because I am basic when it comes to my tennis knowledge, and those are good people to pick.
Yeah,
very good.
It's not bad, Josh. I have the Bengals, of course I do. I'm a homer. If I'm going to be wrong, I'm at least going to go down with the ship here. So I have Bengals, and I have who I really was hoping for them to play instead of the Rams last year in the playoffs, and nearly got my wish. And I think the Bengals would have gotten them last year. But I have the Bengals winning the Super Bowl, of course, over the 49ers. We're all in agreement on the 49ers, which means they won't make it.
They're going to lose to the Seahawks.
First round exit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, San Francisco.
Sorry, guys.
Just ended you. But I just have a hard time seeing them not as the team out of the NFC right now. As you can see, though, like we have the 3 favorites in the AFC, and that I think is very telling. The Chiefs, Bills, Bengals. I think everybody would be absolutely stunned if it's not one of those 3. I don't think anyone will be surprised if it is any of the 3 teams we're mentioning right now.
Yeah.
They all, I will say this, like Bills have significant injuries to deal with. Bengals have significant injuries to deal with. Chiefs don't really necessarily have significant injuries to deal with. So, Aaron, I understand your pick, and they're the 1 seed. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to go with the Bengals. Joe Burrow, man, at the end of games, it's just I still think there is not a quarterback in the league I'd rather have with a chance to go win the game 2 minutes to go than Joe Burrow. Anyway, I am also picking Djokovic to win the Australian Open. Kind of, we're still in that race between him and Nadal. It's a hard surface, really gives Djokovic a little bit of an edge there. And then I think, honestly, the women's game has been so wide open with who wins it. It's very hard to predict ever since Serena kind of came off the prime of her career. So I'll go with the favorite in Swiatek as well. Aaron, your pick is good as well. I wouldn't be surprised if anyone in the top 5 or 10 really wins this major. For the women, it's almost been who starts playing well, who gets hot in the tournament, and they tend to roll. Anyone who's in the top 10 or 15 has been able to do that. So, but tennis season starting, love it.
Yeah, and I haven't given my picks yet, so I'll go ahead and do that real quick for the Australian Open. Yeah, like Johnny, I've got Djokovic. My heart is with Nadal. He's my favorite player, but he's coming off an injury, and he just won a title in not a Grand Slam tournament, but the Australian Open's a little bit different of an animal. And yes, he is the returning winner back in early 2022, but I think Djokovic is going to come in with something to prove. Obviously was not able to compete in this tournament, is now looking up at Nadal as far as the standings go for major titles. So I'm rooting for Nadal, but I think Djokovic finds a way. And I've got Coco Gauff. I'm calling it now, 2023, big Coco Gauff year. She's going to go crazy. So why not go crazy and get a very good start to your season with
absolutely insane
a title in the Australian Open. So
yes.
There we go. So we probably won't actually have any picks or any additional points next week, but we've kind of at least set the table for some picks down the line, and maybe next week we can pick some college basketball or something along those lines that will give us some points immediately. All right, guys, it is time for what we're following. And I can start. Guys, your taste in college football uniforms really concerns me. And by you, I mean the 300,000 people that viewed our TikTok this week. It was pretty simple. I just collected a bunch of really bad college football uniforms, compiled them into a list, and just sent them out on the internet, and you guys went wild with it. So, obviously, I'm not going to describe every uniform. This is a podcast after all. That's terrible content. I will just say, if you get 300,000 people to view something and you collect a lot of their opinions, which we had like over 1,000 comments, you will basically hear a different side of the coin for every uniform. If you look through those comments, like some of them are really bad, right? The worst.
Well, the people defending these, I'm like,
oh,
it was horrendous. I was offended for you.
Yeah.
Just to have to listen to this.
Like, so here's an example: the Maryland uniforms, not the ones they have now, but the original ones that were basically
the
split
OGs.
right down the middle with one color pattern of their flag on one side and one on the other. Those are just objectively bad. I don't care if people like them. And look, I understand part of it is like,
I don't care if you like your flag.
This is like we're not boomers, but like this is like if we were boomers, this is like that side of us coming out like these uniforms suck, and all the young kids are like these are sick. That's part of it too. Like there's absolutely a disconnect as far as ages and like generations on who are the people that are viewing this TikTok versus me who came up with this list. But it's wild. Like the old Florida Gator, like they tried to make him look like an alligator and it just looked like puke. There's so many comments saying like, these are fire. I'm like, there's no way.
No,
they're not.
You're dumb.
Yeah.
They would have brought them back. That's also my thing, Aaron. They would have used them again.
Yeah.
If a uniform was actually that good, people would use them again. Like, and I'm sorry, Maryland, we've talked about this before. Maryland, let's talk to you guys again. Like, I don't understand. As a flag, it's fine. It's fine. As a flag, it does not bother me.
No.
Why must you put it on everything? And I mean everything. It's even at the center of the Baltimore Ravens logo at half field. What is your obsession with your state flag? Nobody else has this.
Oh, someone defended the Shamrock series? Someone defended the Shamrock series.
No,
this is our new statement called Straight to Jail 2.
With a flag.
People's opinion.
The entire state of Maryland.
What did I have number one? I'm trying to remember.
Number one, you had Eastern Michigan.
Oh, yeah. There was even some people
bad.
Oh, my gosh, dude. It's crazy. My favorite thing in addition to this is people were trying to figure out what team I was a fan of based on how I ranked teams. Like someone thought I was like I don't even know, like a Central Michigan fan. I'm like, no.
Oh, yeah. Big Chippewa energy come from you.
Yeah, apparently. So, like, some people brought up some good points. Like, if I was going to do it over again, there'd be a couple that I'd include and probably a couple I did not. Like, most people thought, like, Georgia Tech at one point had these mustard colored throwbacks, and most people really liked them. So I get it. I apparently was in the minority there. But for the most part, I'm like, how are you actually defending this? So all that being said, if you want to check out that TikTok, then feel free. Hit us up on TikTok. We just crossed 3,000 followers, so that's kind of fun. But we're going to have more content like that, apparently, because you guys really enjoy it. So later this week, we'll do the 20 best college football uniforms, maybe just from this year, because there was a lot of teams that had some really sweet alternates, like Tulane, Kansas State, Western Kentucky. Year. So we'll probably do just exclusively this year, and apparently everyone will just hate that. So good. There we go. So that's coming up on TikTok.
This year was awesome for uniforms. Good jersey year.
Agreed.
Very good jersey year.
So that's it for me. I'm following people's terrible opinions.
Josh, is yours sad or happy? Because mine's happy. Would you like me to go first or sad?
Oh no, mine's not sad. Unless unless you are so against crime that every crime is sad. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me just tell you.
Now I'm intrigued.
Let me just tell you.
Piqued my interest. Go ahead.
So you guys know the city of Buffalo, New York, has had some snow over the past little bit. Maybe historical. We don't know. Maybe 7 feet historical for you. It's cool. During these times, unfortunately, there's a lot of looting that happens, and I'm not here to condone looting. However, the Niagara, Action News put out during. Yeah, it's very cool actually. Put out during like the search for some of these looters who were caught on camera. They're like, hey, if you have any information on the gumball gangster who looted this gumball machine during the blizzard, please contact law enforcement. And it's literally just a still image of this guy in like a black overcoat, black pants, and a bright yellow ski mask, just carrying the full gumball machine from outside of some random store. It's glorious, and he deserves it. It's his now.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
It's the gumball.
That was what you chose to steal. I love it. He keeps it.
The gumball gangster. It's his. That thing's what? Yeah. I'm like, sometimes you don't have a quarter. Name. I get it.
It's yeah, and everyone. Cool name.
It's also a great listen. That's a great SoundCloud rapper. That's someone's SoundCloud rapper name for high school. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, if you see the gumball gangster, you didn't see him.
Yes, correct. Very good, Josh. Mine's short also. Mine is just a shout out to all of the bowl game mascots in this season. You know, I am sad that the bowl games are over. I love bowl game season. It's so fun. It's so ridiculous. But to cap it all off, the mascots were incredible. The last one for the playoff was Perry the Pylon. And I love Perry the Pylon. If you guys look on social media, he is still there. He was posing for pictures with people. It's just a giant orange rectangle because he's a pylon. So, yay, Perry the Pylon. Like, shout out to all the pylons out there. He's doing a great job. I really
wanted him. I'm sorry, Jonny. Perry the Pylon is not turquoise with an orange beak and a hat. So, I cannot accept him.
I get it, Josh. I get it. But I mean, then you had Tubby, the jar of mayonnaise. That was was
Tubby
awesome.
Was fantastic. Tubby
was great. You saw that dancing Cheez-It coming out of that box pregame and the Citrus Bowl. That was pretty fun. Loved that. Also, Cheez-It sponsoring 2 bowl games was awesome because you had the Cheez-It Bowl and you had the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. That was just wild. And you had 2 different mascots. Depending on the bowl game. Love that. Love the Idaho potato. All of it's great. This is when people say that there are too many bowl games, they are dumb. So everything else that they might say ever in their entire life is also probably false. So don't trust those people. There are plenty of, we have just the right amount of bowl games. Bowl games are amazing. We all love bowl games. Never get rid of them.
Agreed. And if you think there's too many bowl games, you know where you belong. Straight in jail. Right away. Yeah.
You hate fun. Yeah, and people who hate fun should be in jail.
Yeah, agreed.
Listen, were there some poorly attended bowl games this year? Yes. There were some really poorly attended bowl games. However, stop it. Get some help.
My dream is to go to the Bahamas and just go in without a ticket because apparently you can just walk right in.
You can do whatever you want at the Bahamas Bowl. They don't care.
I want to go to the Bahamas Bowl so bad.
Yep.
You can go give the military a high five. Yeah, it's a great bowl.
Yeah.
No notes.
Maybe next year. Yeah.
Subscribe
to us on YouTube so
please.
We can get some ad revenue and send us to the Bahamas. There's help us out. I will say one other real quick thing, and then we can wrap up this episode. Yes, college football is over. Sad. We shed a tear about that. But college basketball has been going on for a couple months. And there's a good chance there's a lot of folks out there that have just exclusively been watching college football and the bowl games. And of course, we have the NFL playoffs coming up. But if you're trying to get into the college basketball season but don't really know where to start, we have an excellent guide for you. Our very own Jonny wrote a good article, just like 5 or 6 key key points on this college basketball season. What you missed to get you caught up, some key teams, some key players, some key coaches. We even threw in a couple of potential bracket busters you should watch out for in the coming months. So that's there on our website, kind of first article of the year, if you will. So fifthandgoalsports.com is where you can find that article. It's also where you can find some cool merch. So if that's your thing too, go check that out. All right, guys, I think that wraps up this episode. So thanks for recording. Thanks for playing True False and everything else. Enjoy the NFL playoffs. Enjoy some tennis. Enjoy college basketball, the NBA, whatever you get into this week. I hope it's good. Thanks for joining us as always. We appreciate the support, and we will see you guys next week where we will be breaking down 5 of the 6 games. We'll record on a Monday, so one of the games will follow our recording, but we'll at least get you guys covered on all of the AFC games. We will either have a very happy or very sad Jonny, so look forward to that next week. We'll talk to you then.